It is the Europa League playoff round, second leg. Anfield the venue, Liverpool against Hearts. And Liverpool leading 1-0 from the first match. Hearts in their change strips. The white shirts with the maroon trim. And the nerves must be jangling. As David Templeton and Arvidas Novikovas stand over the ball. Steven Gerrard at the ready. And our referee, who is from Russia, is about to sound this decisive leg into action. The winners of the tie will go into the draw for the group stage to be made at the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco tomorrow. The Hearts players would love to be able to get on with it. They'll get their wish any second now. It's a clear night, a perfect night for football on Merseyside. And Heart of Midlothian will be playing towards the famous Kop in the first 45. Away we go from Corgi Road a week ago to Anfield Road tonight. Liverpool, who did just enough in Edinburgh, will be disappointed if they don't do more than enough in this return leg. Hearts are here just to be cannon fodder. It's a much changed Liverpool team. Many of the big guns in comparison with the team that we saw in the first match. Returning for Brendan Rodgers. Zaniukas, captain of Hearts, not taking any chances. He's been declared fit. Was in a bit of doubt because of a dead leg. Jamie Carragher. That's the record for European appearances amongst Liverpool players. The 43rd match in Europe. There's young Adam Morgan, 18 years of age. Excellent on the North American tour a few weeks ago. He's come through the academy. He's a local lad.
I thought that was a free kick actually for Hearts there. I thought young Morgan kicked Webster. The referee didn't spot it. No real complaint from Hearts. But I think if I was a Hearts player, Derek, I'd have wanted Steven Gerrard to be playing, and I wanted Suarez to be playing, and I wanted some of these bigger guys, Allen, all the guys that played against Man City, because you want to test yourself. You want to come here and play against the top players.
John Sutton leading the line for Hearts, the brother of Chris. Spent a few years himself in Scottish football with Celtic. Chris Sutton. Mehdi Tawil, French-born, qualifies for Morocco. Good technician in midfield for Hearts. Zaniukas, captain of the Midlothian to Scottish Cup success last season. Trying to come away with the ball. Jordan Henderson. Stuart Downing operating at left back. It's an entirely new position for him.
Well, I think he needs a big performance. I mean, it wouldn't have done his confidence any good to see a young 17-year-old selected ahead of him for the big game that was here at the weekend, Sunday, Man City. So he'll know he needs to really get his finger out, Stuart Downing. He's a good player. But playing here in front of this Anfield crowd under that pressure can do all sorts for some players' confidence.
Carragher, the man from Bootle. Downing. Carragher's central defensive partner is Martin Skrtel. Mixed bag for Skrtel at the weekend against Manchester City. Scored a goal, but then thinking back to the City equaliser. It was an encouraging performance, though, from Liverpool, you've got to say, Craig.
It was, and it was the second time in 2 games Skrtel had given, he gave a goal away, gave a penalty away at West Brom. He'll be hoping it's third time lucky. But it was I thought it was an excellent performance from Liverpool. Really just didn't take full advantage of it, but passed it superbly well. I mean, Allen's stats in midfield for his pass completion was just terrific.
Luis Suarez does have the capacity to make this game of football look ridiculously simple at times. John Joe Shelby, the width provided by Downing. Suarez drifting over to the left flank. It's Tawil for Hearts. Patterson, the 17-year-old, waiting on the right-hand side of midfield. Ryan McGowan, the Aussie, is at right back. Long throw from McGowan, it's Patterson! A little bit of swerve on that.
Well, found himself in a nice little pocket here for the throw-in. Started the season at right back, but his preferential position is to play further forward, and well, that's the lack of communication between centre-halves and midfield there, and well worth the effort. Wasn't the worst of efforts.
Suarez. Opening up for Liverpool, Martin Kelly. Turns it to Suarez. Burrowing his way through the Uruguayan. Corner to Liverpool.
Well, he's like a slippery eel in the box, isn't it? I mean, you got to handle him with so much care. I mean, how many times do we see him getting away from players in positions you think there's no way out of that, but he does it. He does it against the top defenders. He's only just got to stick it in the back of the net. That's the only thing he hasn't done on a regular basis.
Steven Gerrard tasked with taking it. Quite big out the head of Suarez. Carragher a bit wayward. Brendan Rodgers, his first season in charge of Liverpool. Analytical type. Certainly not taking the Europa League lightly. Donald in goal for Hearts tonight again, the 26-year-old.
Well, I know how Brendan Rodgers will be saying this. I mean, he's played some of his big guns. They've got a big game at the weekend, Arsenal. So they'll be wanting to get this game put to bed sooner rather than later. Now, that's no disrespect to Hearts. That's just the way they'll see it. What Hearts have got to do is make sure that doesn't happen and affect the game at the other end. But there's no way I want Suarez, Gerrard and the like to be playing 90 minutes and more. That's a bad one. Yeah. That's a booking. That's got to be a booking.
Well, it was Adam Morgan in his first competitive start as a Liverpool player. Novi Kovas, the Lithuanian youngster, was on the receiving end, and he's been a bit lucky here, Morgan.
Well, I'm sorry, but you know, we need, in football, you need consistency in decision making, and youngster or not, that had to be a yellow.
Not for customer John Sutton, tangling that time with Skirtle. He's got a couple of goals in 5 matches this season, both penalties. St Johnstone and Inverness Caledonian Thistle in the Clydesdale Bank Premier League.
Nice to see a big following from Hearts, isn't it? Full house, well, full end for the Gorgie boys, and they've had a good time by the sounds of it. On the way in, they was singing and enjoying themselves. I think they've certainly made a day or a couple of days of it down here in Liverpool.
Many of them attended the Everton match last night. Thrashed Leyton Orient. Kovas did well. David Templeton, intriguing young player. Certainly has pace and confidence. Was bothered by injuries last season, Templeton, but he has genuine ability. Away by Skirtle. Liverpool, the big favourites. But they know once again they cannot underestimate part of Midlothian.
David Templeton's just going to float in that little role that you mentioned, and Joe Allen will be tasked with trying to pick him up as well as getting on the ball. So he's got to make Allen's life as difficult as he can. Of course, he has got a job as well. Templeton is getting back in and helping his midfield four, so he's got to find the balance.
Skirtle on the ground. Just a bit shaken up. 50th European appearance for Martin Skirtle from Slovakia. There's Carragher. Downing. Jonjo Shelby releasing Stuart Downing. Patterson trying to get back. Splendid ball, it comes on Morgan. No handball apparently. Andy Webster solves the problem for Hearts and needed to.
How can that not be a handball? He sees it late, albeit it comes over the defender's head. It was a super move from Liverpool, And what, you know, is he gaining? Are they gaining an advantage, Liverpool, by that? Then the answer is yes. The referee went to give a free kick, went to put the whistle to the mouth and didn't do it. With no harm done in the end, but great move. Nice one-touch football down this left-hand side. Just got Downing away.
Maybe a new lease of life for Stuart Downing as led back. We shall see. Skirtle. No nonsense challenge. Well, it's been open and lively. 0-0 on the night. 1-0 to Liverpool on aggregate. Danny Granger will step forward to take the throw. From just outside Penrith in Cumbria. Kovas going down just as he tried to release the ball. John McGlynn, his first season in charge of Hearts. Man who has served his coaching apprenticeship. Worked as youth coach, assistant coach at Hearts. And the part of Midlothian supporters fully behind him. An amount of choreography there. Granger will try once more. Novi Kovas. Got one for Downing to judge. He was very taken with the atmosphere at Tynecastle last week, Stuart Downing.
Well, you and I have always said it's a great atmosphere at Tynecastle, and whenever we go to do games, it doesn't mean our reception's any better. Just
speak for yourself.
I just call that a good atmosphere.
Darren Barr flicking it in. Shot from Patterson. Now Tawil. Showed too much of the ball to Steven Gerrard. McGowan's header. Stuart Downing. Joe Shelby. Let's carry on. McGowan into reverse. Webster forward. Andy Webster in the Scotland squad for the forthcoming matches against Serbia and Macedonia. Shelby just cushioning the ball for Downing. Carragher should be comfortable for McGowan. Squintle called upon. He's trying to keep the pressure high on Downing. Shot from Suarez. Didn't quite work out. He had Henderson to his left.
Yeah, I mean, Henderson's a player who, you know, the one thing he couldn't be accused of last year in his first year was a lack of effort. His graft was superb. It's his industry that I think was a little bit of a problem, and it's not easy when it's your first year, but certainly I think graft alone under the current manager Brendan Rodgers is just not going to be enough for the likes of young Henderson.
Downing. There's Joe Allen. He started his Liverpool career promisingly. Shelby. Kelly, the outlet on the right once again for Liverpool. Suarez. Almost nonchalantly. Offside flag had gone up. Morgan had straight. Doesn't come to every Hearts match. Vladimir Romanov, the Hearts owner, but he's here tonight.
Well, they don't play at Anfield every week, that's why.
The head of young Patterson. Skirtle. Early sparring stages in this second leg. No scoring on the night. Carragher all the way forward to Downing. No stranger to that position up near the byline. Oh, it's a wonderful ball, and Morgan's header, and Suarez! Well, he thought it was going in.
Well, first and foremost, I mean, obviously the cross gets played in far too easily because I think young Patterson sells himself. Between him and McGowan, they're just playing a bit narrow. But once it's nodded back across here, I think Webster's going to challenge for this. He just watches it at the back post. He's got to try and get off the ground there, Webster, and put Suarez under a bit of pressure. He does nothing. And in the end, Hearts managed to clamber it away.
Gerrard with the corner. Punched away by McDonald. Only as far as Shelby. Patterson. Still doubting the £20 million signing from Aston Villa. And Tynecastle at left back for the last 30 minutes after coming on for Jack Robinson. An opportunity for Morgan this evening. And a brief cameo in the first leg. Starting for the first time in a competitive match here at Anfield. Ryan McGowan has made his way forward. And he skews it into the cup. Some of the newcomers are here. Liverpool newcomers, Nuri Sahin, of course, signed on loan from Real Madrid, and Usama Asaidi, who's otherwise ineligible to take part tonight. So much changed Liverpool. It's going to have a very different look, this team. It's going forward, and that's the way Brendan Rodgers wants it.
Well, I think the one thing we shouldn't get away from here and get caught up in is that we know he wants to pass it, Brendan Rodgers, but Liverpool have always passed the ball. It's always been the theory. They've always wanted to do it. They always have done it. So, in that sense, not a great deal changes. It might just be that they're going to have to take one or two more risks at the back, and maybe they're going to get caught out on the odd occasion, but they've always passed it, Liverpool. It's in their makeup, it's in their DNA. It's end product Brendan Rodgers will have to get at the end of the day. That will take time.
Darling has seen a lot of the ball in the opening 17 minutes. Suarez. Kelly. And Steven Gerrard. Suarez always seems to have that free role in attack. Licence to drift. Allen.
Oh, I like this lad. I think he's going to be a star. I mean, I know it's early, but I just think he's such a super player, Joe Allen.
Quentin Skirter looking for passing options, finds Downing. John Joe Shelby. Suarez. Once again, the Hearts players doing their jobs at the back. Be Welsh, but Brendan Rodgers thinks there's something of the Spanish player about him. Here's Suarez. Inquiry about handball. Wasn't a serious shout from Suarez.
No, it was so close, he couldn't do anything about it. And it's one of those where it just sort of ricochets up. I think it was half-hearted penalty appeal there. No, we're doing nothing about that.
Andy Granger. The arm tucked in. McDonald, who became a dad just hours before the first leg at Tynecastle. Joe Cole, who was on loan at Lille last season. Charlie Adam amongst the spectators. Has he played his final game for Liverpool, we wonder?
Well, the signs would suggest yes. His move to Anfield would be a short-lived one, I would imagine.
Be a very intriguing Friday over at Melwood on the transfer front. pass. Lefty Tawil. Novi Kovas. And it comes to Tawil. He's looking for a clean contact. Well, Newcastle United are in front. There's Promitos on the night, 2-1 on aggregate. Almost 20 minutes gone. Craig, what have you made of it so far?
Well, I think Hearts will be quite content, actually. I mean, lots of possession for Liverpool, most of it in front of Hearts. A couple of efforts, you know, from Hearts' point of view. I think young Patterson with a volley, and then Tawil there with a strike from a decent position after a good knockdown from John Sutton. Didn't catch the shot, but I think, as it says on the tin, as you'd expect, I mean, Liverpool will dominate this game. That'll be no surprise. And the Hearts' job's to make it difficult for them to break down, and when they do win it, is try and hit on the counter, and that's how it's sort of panning out at the moment.
Same scenario for Liverpool. When you go back to the last round, managed to win the away leg against Gomel of Belarus, a 1-0 margin, having been outplayed at times. That's the case in Gorgie as well. And safely through, 3-0 in the return match against Gomel, 4-0 on aggregate. Suarez, his control deserts him. 17 goals in 39 matches last season. I think Hearts are entitled to feel happy that no further damage has been inflicted. That was surely priority number one. Make sure they don't find themselves out of the tie early in the second leg. They're still very much in it. Joe Allen. Martin Kelly. There's Tawil. Granger across the defence. Andy Webster, scorer of a own goal in the first match. Anderson all the way back to Carragher. Yet to concede in Europe this season. 6 clean sheets in the last 7 matches in continental competition. Gerrard. There's Henderson. Suarez showing for it. Has to try to stay with him. Gerrard. A long way out. Zaliukas got in the way. It's his fellow Lithuanian Novi Kovas who fires the ball out of play. Joe Shelby, England under-21 international, could technically qualify for Scotland should he wish to change his allegiance. Gerrard. For that 50-50. So Newcastle now, he has to get back. Swiftly to Kelly. Right across the face of goal. Shelby wanted it played to him.
Yeah, just a lack of composure really from Kelly once he gets in there. I mean, Zaliukas actually did well, stepped out and nicked it from Steven Gerrard. It could have fallen to a Hearts player, it didn't. It meant he was sort of sucked out of position, but I think that's the difference you get when you've got somebody like Glenn Johnson down that side. He just gives you that little bit of composure from the full-back position. He's quite often finds the target, Johnson, in terms of goals, cutting in from the right-back position. But yeah, it was a bit of a disappointing cross, to say the least.
Johnson amongst the Liverpool substitutes tonight. John McGlynn taking the walk towards the edge of the technical area. Passionate manager. So they breed them in Wallingford.
Take the word for that.
Just ask Jim Jeffries. He's from there as well. Downing. Allen. There's a tidy quality to Allen's play. £2 million the transfer fee. Swansea to Liverpool. Brendan Rodgers said he would have made a few millions more.
I bet Swansea are kicking themselves then, aren't they? Well, I've got to say, I don't think, and I didn't think, Manchester City played them very well at the weekend. I think the shape that City set out suited Liverpool. I think they exploited it, and I thought Allen was superb, along with Gerrard and Shelvey, who come on for Lucas after Lucas' early injury. I thought John Joe Shelvey looks a really tidy player at times as well. But at the moment, McDonald in that Hearts goal hasn't really had. There's been one scare from the header from Suarez at the back post when Webster didn't really make an attempt to go for it. Apart from that's been it. So 25 minutes in, happy days, I think, if you're following the Edinburgh side.
It's a very composed start by Hearts. Ryan McGowan. McGowan's brother Dylan is on the bench this evening. Quickly gone by Templeton, Patterson, and Sutton. Down goes Patterson inside the box. The referee saw nothing wrong. Well,
my initial instinct was there was no real attempt from Carragher to make a challenge there. I think it was more disappointing he couldn't get a first touch there. Gets a first touch and he's got a strike away.
He's trying to knock on the Liverpool door again. A speculative shot, John Sutton. Maybe Kovas getting in his way though.
Well, it was good play from Sutton because he's backing in there. There's no attempt. Yeah, he's caught him there, but he's actually trying to jump out the way, Jamie Carragher. That's not a penalty for me.
Vladislav Bezborodov from Russia is the match referee. Liverpool motoring forward. And Morgan. And McDonald smothering stop. He's got there in the nick of time.
Yeah, just bounced, just dipped in front of him and popped off his chest, but did really well, as you say, because Gerrard was coming in. Always difficult for a goalkeeper in that scenario.
Sutton sees the free kick decision go his way. Carragher can't believe it. Carragher, who helped Liverpool win this cup back in 2001, went under a different name. David Templeton to deliver. He's been linked with quite a few clubs in the last day or so, including Rangers. Good free kick it was, Webster arriving. That was a painful one.
Initially I thought it was the head, but it's not, it's the side. Jamie Carragher's landed on his side and he's still having a little natter with the referee, who had a decision to make. The decision was no penalty. I think Carragher's trying to get out of the way here. I think he's trying. I don't think there's any attempt to make a challenge. Yeah, there's a little bit of contact, but no, not for me, not a penalty.
Certainly would have been a big decision taken by referee Mr. Bezborodov. Patterson went down in front of the Kop. Carragher, Pepe Reina. Turns 30 tomorrow. Reina. Shelby running into McGowan. Here's Nobi Kovas. The elusive, unpredictable though. Kelly. Just running out of space. So far, so good for Hearts, you've got to say. McLean has a youthful bench. Gary Locke there alongside him, former Hearts player. With a header, Suarez gives it back to Steven Gerrard. With a cut of sway through the Hearts defence, the Liverpool captain foiled by Jamie McDonald. An important stop it was.
Yeah, great save there. And again, following on from his superb performance at Pittodrie. Wonderful save. Too easy for Gerrard, that though.
McGowan trying to stay with Suarez. Hearts very much on the back foot for most of that game against Aberdeen that you mentioned.
Yeah, this is just too easy here to get through. A bit flat-footed, Andy Webster there, I think. Gets caught out in positions like that, but that's an excellent save. You can see what Gerrard was trying to do, just sort of dink it over the top of him.
And then plays it back to Arena. Song being belted out, and the visiting supporters away to our left. Field road end of the ground. Suarez, Gerrard, Suarez. Too much on it for Shelby.
Well, I think for an opposing goalkeeper, you'd be expecting a busy evening, and he does what he should do. He stays big. Tries to stay as tall as he can, as he has to go to ground, obviously, but the arms are out, and that would have pleased the supporters.
Just a quick reminder, coming up on ESPN on Saturday from 4:30 in the Barclays Premier League, it'll be Manchester City against Queen's Park Rangers. And then on Sunday, in the Iron Brew Scottish Football League 3rd Division, Rangers up against the league leaders Elgin. We start at 4 on Sunday. David Templeton, as we mentioned, has been linked with Rangers.
Well, they need a bit of spark. We watched them last week at Berwick.
Andy Curvass slipping just as he tried to control the ball. Would it be the right move for a player like Templeton at the age of 23 to pop down into the Scottish 3rd Division?
Who knows? You never know as a player if you're doing the right thing. Sometimes it's just instinct. Not ideal, I know, to be playing in the Scottish Football League down Division 3, I know that. But it's a big club, it'll be on its way back at some point. It's inevitable, it will happen sooner rather than later. Maybe there's some sort of contradiction in that statement after Sunday, isn't there? I mean, between the two Rangers, it was quite difficult to see which Rangers they were trying to catapult back into the SPL, if I'm being honest. I've been harsh.
Well, I think you're just being honest.
It was,
based on what we saw.
It was hanging on at the end, wasn't it, for Neil Alexander making saves, and there was a goal chopped off. We heard Ali McCoy's talking about it. He wasn't happy. They've got to do better. Anyway, back at the ranch here.
This Europa League playoff round, second leg. Kelly gone bursting towards the box. Suarez continues his run. Luis Suarez. Oh, and it's Morgan who takes it home, but it's not going to count. The 18-year-old denied the chance to open his account in his first competitive start.
Flag went up straight away. Linesman's given this decision. He's absolutely choked the lad. It's gone out, and that's what he's given. He's not up with play, the linesman. The referee's assistant, call him what you like. He's not level, but he's got a good view of it. And well, the young lad absolutely choked, but it did look as if it was over. The linesman's position wasn't great.
Well, the officials tonight hail from Russia. Ryan McGowan made his debut for Australia recently against Scotland in Edinburgh at Easter Road on his 23rd birthday. Darren Barr has reinvented himself as a midfield player. Barr, a former Falkirk man.
Well, now look, closer look to see if the whole ball was over. It was difficult to tell, I tell you. how the assistant spotted it from over there when he wasn't looking straight across was difficult to see. A little bit of afters there with Suarez and Webster.
Novi Kovas. Granger. Gerrard. Idea from Suarez was to give it back to the Liverpool skipper, David Templeton. It can be a real handful from this sort of position. Nothing wrong with that ball. Sutton slightly off balance.
Well, it's a super ball from Zalewskis just to set Templeton away there. And he's got Novi Kovas behind him. He may have got a shout, I don't know. He certainly, I felt, was always on the stretch, but Templeton does look as if there is going to be a provider, it will be him. And it's tangible for Hearts, isn't it? It's something tangible to hang on to this.
Remember the time, Craig, when David Templeton really announced himself to a wider public. Almost 3 years ago, playing for Hearts against Celtic. Came off the bench in the closing stages. Provided a telling ball for Ismail Bouzi to head home what turned out to be the winner.
Yeah, but he's 23 now, Derek. He's got to push on. He's got to push on now. He's not a young laddie anymore.
Henderson, Suarez, Gerrard, Suarez. And a back from Granger into the clutches of McDonald.
Cool as a cucumber.
Hearts have looked poised. Not overawed in the slightest. Field can certainly intimidate any visiting side in European competition. McGowan. Barr. And it goes down, Barr. Jordan Henderson has to keep going. It's a bit messy. Tawiel on the ground. Here's Suarez. Oh, Zalewskis. Crucial intervention.
Well, it was I think another dreadful decision by the Russian referee in front of us. I thought it was a poor challenge from Henderson on Tawiel. John McGlynn was straight on his feet. I thought he went through the Hearts player to get the ball.
Morgan. So made it just a bit nervy for Liverpool. Carragher. Downing. Trying to get goal side of Patterson. Here's Suarez. His cleverest moment. Templeton. Too strong for Sutton. Gerrard. Good tempo about this first half. Control good touch by Suarez.
His touch is not quite there this evening so far, is it? I mean, that could change in a flash, couldn't it, with Suarez and his quality, but he doesn't have to try and overcomplicate it. This is suiting Hearts. The game's not stretched. If the game gets stretched, I think Hearts will have problems. As long as they're compact, pick and choose the moments to go forward, intermittent moments, then they've got a nice little base and they've been quite solid.
Kelly. Lucas taking care of the situation. It's met by Allen.
Yeah, I think off the surface there, Joe Allen taking the sliding option. Played the ball. So Lucas on his feet, not a problem.
From the Hearts' point of view, it's all a far cry from what happened last season against Tottenham. They were beaten before things properly got going in the first leg at Tynecastle.
Yeah, it must have been awful going to White Hart Lane, 5-0 down.
It was a creditable performance by the Jambos at White Hart Lane, but nothing really to play for. Different story here.
Well, Harry Redknapp played the reserves, didn't he? That was part of it. He hasn't done tonight, Brendan Rodgers, because it's a very narrow lead and a lot of the big guns are out. Yes, he's got a strong bench, I know that. that Gerrard plays, Suarez plays, Allen, Shelvey, Skirtle, Downing in.
Lefty Towell. Played under Jim Jeffries at Kilmarnock. Well, making the move for him to Hearts. Here's Templeton. Didn't middle it.
Well, that's positions that they've found about sort of 20 yards out of Hearts. The ball sat up very well for them. They just rushed that volley. That was an excellent opportunity for young Templeton there, but just that little bit of composure.
Five minutes remaining in the first half. Blank score sheet in the second leg. Liverpool 1 to the good, following on from what happened at Tynecastle. Kelly steers it back to Skirtle. Barr's gone over there, trying to deal with any potential threat. Shelvey.
Islam.
Carragher. Gerrard. Here's Kelly trying to time his run to perfection. Fine piece of defending by Novi Kovacs, who got back there.
Yeah, excellent wide play that, isn't it? Just as the full-back tucks in, the ball inside, and it's an excellent ball, and that's super work back from Novi Kovacs there. That's what you'd be expecting of your wide player, rolling the sleeves up.
Gerrard with it. Clearance from McGowan. Templeton trying to get the break of the ball. We'll have to pay attention. Sutton's pass. David Templeton. Jamie Carragher barring the way to goal, and Patterson. It's a lapse in concentration. Free kick to Hearts. And they are making Liverpool think.
Well, actually, they didn't make the most of that, and that tackle from Carragher was a last-ditch one on Templeton. Had he just nicked it past him, he was away. A couple of Hearts players get in each other's way, actually, in the edge of the box, and Jamie Carragher rushed out and was a little bit late, so it's presented itself in a decent position. Probably too far out for a strike here, unless you're really feeling lucky.
Danny Granger and David Templeton, two players in the vicinity. It's going to be Templeton. Quite find the head of Zaliukas. Did Hearts overcommit at the set piece, I wonder. Gerrard. Here's Morgan. And that lung-busting run. It's Morgan's turn to try to keep it in. Hearts can breathe again. Understand that they wanted to get as many bodies forward as possible. That last free kick.
Yeah, you should find yourself in that position from your own set piece, if I'm being honest with you. A little warning sign for them.
Downing, still cooking it. Webster. Skirtle. Shelvey. Came on early on at the weekend. Shelvey for the injured Lucas Leiva. Likely to be out for as part of 3 months, having just come back from injury, serious knee injury. Thigh problem now, where Lucas is concerned. Shelvey's pass, offside, Suarez. Well, Well, we have breaking news to bring you here on ESPN. We can confirm that Liverpool striker, as he was, Andy Carroll, has joined West Ham United on a season-long loan. That has been confirmed by Liverpool Football Club.
See, I'm surprised at that. I'm not surprised because it's been in the papers and it's been common knowledge, but I'm surprised because when your passing game isn't working and you need a plan B and a plan C, then the old adage of getting it wide and whipping it in the box will come home to bear some fruit at times, and I think it gives that option. Anyway, listen, that's a decision for Brendan Rodgers. I think West Ham have got to sell a good player. Suarez is offside here, and it's been a very good first half for Hearts, I've got to say.
The Jambos will be delighted. They have acquitted themselves superbly. Adam Morgan, his first competitive start for Liverpool, had the ball in the back of the net, but the decision was that it had gone out of play just prior to that. Needless to say, the teenager was bitterly disappointed. But the Hearts supporters, in good voice, will it stay that way? On the night, Liverpool 0, Hearts 0, on aggregate still 1-0 to Liverpool.